Hello everyone, in this video we're going to see the solution to the Codeforces problem B, M arrays of round 708 division 2. So we're given an array of n positive integers and a positive integer m. We have to divide the elements of this array into some further arrays, and we can order the elements in the new arrays as we want. So an array is m divisible if for each two adjacent numbers in the array, their sum is divisible by m. So each two adjacent number, their sum should be divisible by m, then the array is m divisible. And an array of a single element is also m divisible. So we want to find the smallest number of m divisible arrays that it is possible to divide into. So the smallest, not the greatest. The maximum we can just divide it into each single element. We can divide it into n further arrays, right? Everything will be m divisible, but we want to find the smallest. Okay, so let's look at some test cases. So this test case is explained already. 4, 8, 2, 6, 2 and 9. You can see that 4 plus 8 is divisible, 2 plus 6 and 6 plus 2 is divisible, and 9. So let's look at this test case, how they've done this. Okay, and based on this we'll formulate our answer. So this is the test case they have given. Now what and m is 8 here. Okay, so obviously 8 is divisible by 8. So what something you can think is that every number which is divisible by 8 you can just create in one group, right? So one group can be everything divisible by 8. So you can name this everything divisible by 8. So all other groups will be not divisible by 8, right? So this is everything divisible by 8. Okay. So we have 1, 1, 1, 5, 2, 4, 4, 8, 6, 7. So let's think of pairs. So it says that adjacent numbers which are pairs should be the sum should be divisible by 8, right? So let's look here. So I have 1 and I have 7. So I can say 1 and 7. And then 1, 7, and then again 7 and 1. This one can be taken. So this can be formed into one group, right? And then like I said, my 8 will be another group. Now let's look here. 4 and 4 can be formed into another group, right? 4 and 4 can be formed into another group. And then 6 and 2 can be formed in another group, right? So 6 and 2 can be formed in another group. And then I have 1 remaining. And I have 5 remaining. So that's it, right? 1, 1, 1, 5, 2, 4, 4, 8, 6 and 7. And these are how many groups? 1 group, 2 group, 3 group, 4 group, 5 group, 6 group, right? And that is what my answer, 6. And these are pretty much explainable, right? Now what we're going to do here is we're going to think remainder wise, right? Because we're dividing everything by 8. So let's, instead of taking the numbers individually, let's take the remainder of every element by 8. So what I'm trying to say is that let's replace each element in our array by its remainder when we divide it by 8. Why we're doing it, you'll be able to see it more clearly. So the first benefit of this is that every number which is divisible by 8 will become 0, and so every remainder which will be 0 will be formed into one group. So what I'm trying to do here is replace every array element a of I by a of I mod m, which is the remainder given by the array element. Okay, so let's do this here itself. So 1 modulo 8 will be 1, 1 modulo 8, 1, 1, not a problem. 5 modulo 8 is 5, 2 modulo 8 is 2, 4 modulo 8 is 4, 4 modulo 8 is 4, 8 modulo 8, 8 is 0, 6 modulo 8, 6, 7 modulo 8 is 7. Okay. So how many remainders will be there when any number is divisible by 8? So the remainders can be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these are the remainders which are possible when I divide any number by 8, right? 0 to m minus 1 basically. 0 to m minus 1 are the possible remainders. Okay. So what I did so far is that I replaced every array element a of I by a of I modulo m. Now what I'm doing is that for each remainder I'm checking how many numbers are there having the same remainder, right? So basically what I did is I replaced every element a of I by a of I modulo m, and then I'm creating a map. Map will keep track of the frequency, right? So and then I'll do map of a of I plus plus, and at this point what is a of I? A of I is the remainder of a of I modulo m. So for now what I'm doing is for each I'm finding the sum of total remainders, total same remainders, right? So let's take this array itself. So how many remainders having 0? Only 1 is there, so 1. So how many remainders having 1? 3, right? How many remainders having 5? First 2, 1, and then 3. You can see no element is there having the remainder 3, so this will be 0 out of the way. 4, 2 are there, okay? And then 5, 1 is there, 6, 1 is there, and 7, 1 is there. Now what I want is I want the sum of remainders to be divisible by 8, right? For example, 1 plus 7 should be divisible by 8, likewise, okay? Now what I'm going to do, so two things I have already done is I've replaced every array element a of I by a of I modulo m, and then I've created a map, okay? What the map is doing is it's creating frequency and it's finding for each remainder how many frequency is there in the array, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to traverse, first I'm going to check for 0, okay? And if map of 0, so I'll have my answer. So answer is my variable, which is the total number of groups, okay? So if map of 0 greater than equal to 1, then answer plus plus, because if there is even a single element present which is divisible by m itself, 8 itself, then all of that will be formulated into one group. So this will just be a single group, we don't need to match it with anything, right? For rest we need to pair them up. This doesn't need any pairing because everything is divisible by 8, so we can just without thinking pair them up, okay? So if map of 0 greater than equal to 1, answer plus plus, meaning answer is equal to 1 because we have found one group and that group will have everything which is divisible by 8, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check for 1 to m minus 1, okay? Now this thing I've already cleared. I've made one group which is having everything divisible by 8, and now I'll check for the rest. So I'll explain the rest with my code, it will be easier to understand, okay? So like I said, so far what I've done is here instead of using a map, I've just used a vector. You can use map, doesn't matter. So I've taken a of I and then I've replaced a of I by a of I modulo m, and then for frequency I've done b of a of I plus plus, okay? Like I said, if b of 0, meaning if 0's frequency is greater than equal to 1, then answer plus plus, meaning that we have found one group. Now what I'm doing is I'm going from 1 to m minus 1, okay? Now if the remainder is greater than equal to 1, then we need to do something, right? Otherwise we don't need to do anything, we can just there's no need, right? So if b of I is greater than 1, so let's just check this with our test case. So if b of 1 is greater than equal to 1, it is there, that means that we need to put it in some group, that this value is there and we need to put it in some group. Now what group can we put it in? So 1, we need m minus I. For I we need m minus I. For I, I'm needing m minus I. Why? Because I plus m minus I will definitely be divisible by what? M. Okay, because these are remainders. So, so let's just run the code on this test case so you can understand. So here we have 1 and b of 1, which is the map. B is the map here, don't get confused. So b of 1 is 3, right? What is b of m minus 1? B of 7. B of 7 is 1. Okay, so how many groups can I form with these? I can form two groups. I can form b of 1 minus b of 7. How? So it's like this, 1, 1, 1 and 7. So I can form like this, 1, 7, 1, 1, 1, 7. So I can form like this, 1, 7, 1 will be one group and this will be one group. So my point is, how many groups can we form? We can form the number of groups. If b of I minus b of m minus I is greater than equal to 1, then answer plus plus. Why? Because I can form one group. Otherwise, I can form as many groups as it is b of I minus b of m minus I. So suppose it was like this. Suppose it was 1, 1, 1 and 7, 7. So b of 7 will be 2, right? So what is b of 1 minus b of 7? It is 3 minus 2, 1. That means that I can create one group. How will I create one group? It will be like this, 1, 7, 1, 7, 1, right? And this will be one group, 1 plus 7, 7 plus 1, 1 plus 7, 7 plus 1. So what I'm doing is I'm checking I and m minus I, and then I'm seeing how many groups can I form with I and m minus I. So if b of I minus b of m minus I is greater than equal to 1, I can form one group, so answer plus plus. Otherwise, I can form as many groups as is the absolute difference between b of I minus b of m minus I. And then what I'm doing is b of m minus I is equal to 0. Why am I putting b of m minus I is equal to 0? Because I've already used 7 now. Okay, so this what will happen is this will become 0 because I've already used 7 in this group formation. Okay, what is remaining is this one is remaining, and this is in another group now. We have formed two groups. One group is 171 and another group is 1. Likewise, we'll come here and I is 2, and m minus I is 6. So here 2 and 6, I can again form one group, and then likewise 3 is 0, we'll just ignore it. Then 4, 2, and m minus I is again it will be 0, that means that we can form one group, 4 and 4. So this is how the code is working. This is the code. I'll give a link in the description. If you have any doubts, you can ask. So this is how the code is working. Basically what we were doing is that instead of working on the individual elements, we're just replacing each element by the remainders, and then for each remainder we're forming groups. How are we forming groups? By remainder having I and remainder having m minus I. With them we're forming the groups, and we just instead of we don't have to form the groups, but we just have to count the number of groups, and that we're doing by the variable answer. So that's it. If it got a little complex or if you're having any doubts, just put them in the comments. I'll be sure to answer. Thank you.